We get a lot of questions about something called alternative dispute resolution, or ADR for short. I'm going to talk briefly about two major forms of ADR. That's mediation and arbitration. Mediation is a voluntary process where the parties agree to go and try and see if they can settle a case. Arbitration can be voluntary, but it can also be subject to an arbitration clause, or it could be ordered by the court. So mediation is voluntary, arbitration sometimes is voluntary. The other difference is in a mediation, you have a neutral third party who's going to listen to the different parties, the plaintiff, the defendant, to see if they can work out an agreement to settle the case. In an arbitration, you typically have an arbitrator, who might be a retired judge, who hears the case, and rather than having the parties agree on the outcome, the arbitrator renders an award that might not be favorable to one of the parties. A mediation is typically done in either half day or a day. There are exceptions, but that's typically how it's done. Whereas an arbitration usually lasts multiple days. Could be done in a day, but typically it takes a little bit longer. With the mediation, you just have the parties and maybe sometimes an insurance adjuster on the defense side. And with an arbitration, you have more than that. Not only do you have the parties that are present, such as the plaintiff and the defendant, but you are also going to have witnesses giving testimony. You might even have experts testifying. Mediation is sort of an informal process where you don't really see the other parties. You're pretty much with your attorney in a room for the duration. And an arbitration is more like a quasi-trial. You're going to be sitting in the room with the defense attorney, likely have the defendant there, and you essentially put on a trial for the arbitrator. So it's much more formal. It's partly why it takes so much longer. Those are two types of alternative dispute resolution. Of course, there are others. Oftentimes, the simplest is simply to pick up the phone, call the other side, call the insurance adjuster, and see if you can work out some sort of agreement to settle the case.